Funding for Georgia Outdoors has been made possible by grants from the Georgia Natural Resources Foundation, the Imlay Foundation, the Nature Conservancy, and from viewers like you.
There are many biologists, scientists, and volunteers who work hard to protect the environment. But some worry who will pick up the baton and carry on once the old guard retires. Well, for those of you worried, this show should ease your mind. I first met Abby Sterling on Little St. Simon's Island a few years ago. She was always up before sunrise, checking on plovers. Tiny little tufts of mottled brown, often seen hopping along the ocean's edge. Abby studies shorebirds in general, but plovers are the main focus of her research.
That turtle did a good job.
Well, let's see if the willet chases us.
Okay.
She is a college student who spends countless hours looking for these eggs. No easy task when you realize how hard it is to find them.
That's their whole strategy, is to have eggs that really blend in with their surroundings. That way predators like avian predators like gulls and crows can't find them, and mammalian predators like raccoons and in some places hogs and coyotes have trouble finding them. So they're designed to blend in perfectly with their surroundings, but it makes it tricky when people are out on the beach as well.
I honestly never thought about stepping on shorebird eggs, let alone chicks, until I met Abby. This tiny baby, trembling among the washed-up wrack, is just above the high tide mark. Would you be able to see it? And this tiny chick, so well camouflaged, but doomed if the foot of a beachcomber comes crashing down on top of what seems to be nothing more than sticks washed up by the ocean.
We can tell when the nest was laid and how far along in incubation it is, and then several days before the eggs actually hatch, they start pipping, and there's tiny little cracks on the eggs, and sometimes you can hear the chicks chirping from inside the egg. If a nest is really close to hatching, I'll come back and check it once in the morning and once in the evening. But in general, I'm only checking nests every 3 days because I don't want to leave a trail for predators. And I really want to minimize disturbing these birds as much as possible. And you notice how well even the chicks blended, and it's all about hiding from predators.
Abby is a new conservationist. This is her chosen path, and it is one that calls for a lot of tedious work. hours in hot sun with mosquitoes, or in rain with a chill in the air. She must have the confidence to handle some of the most fragile creatures on Earth.
So you want to keep them all together until you're done banding them, just because you don't want chicks running all over and the parents freaking out. They will try to escape out of your hat. Okay. So on his left leg, he's going to get a yellow-red band. You got yellow-red over light blue. And so each bird gets its own colors so it can be identified. They're really good at climbing. Okay. He's okay, Mama. It's okay. So he's got his bands on him, and then we just measure his tarsus, which is his leg, with our Sandy. Chill. Chill. He's not holding still. Come here. Okay. So you just measure right here to here. Chill. Chill. You were being so good. Come here. All right. That tarsus measurement was 23 millimeters. And his weight is, he's not gonna like this, 7.3 grams. They all look good. Okay. No.
Her observations will teach others and perhaps help sustain populations of shorebirds. For example, she taught me this. If you see a bird flapping around like it's injured, stay away. He's trying to fake you out.
So both the adults, the male and the female, were doing a broken wing display. And that's basically a distraction technique, so that if there's any predators or threats to the nest, they try to lead you away from their nest.
On this day, we are the threat. And her work has taught me to get the heck out of there if I see a bird that seems to be in distress.
Obviously, that means that you're, too close to the nest. And the great thing about a lot of shorebirds is that they make it pretty obvious when you're threatening them and when you're in a spot that they shouldn't be. So the Wilson's plovers do that broken wing display. The willets will freak out and yell at you, and oyster catchers will definitely let you know too. So as long as you're aware of what's on the beach with you, you can do your best to really stay out of areas that have nesting birds in them.
But the nests are so hard to see.
And with my study, I'm not super intent on finding all the different species, but if I do find other species, I'm marking them and kind of tracking them too, just so I can get an idea of how close the Wilsons are nesting to other certain species. But they'll be clever, like it'll be a tiny bit of elevation like that, and they could have a nest on it.
You got a tough job.
It's really hard.
As we were walking, a crow threatened the nests of 2 willets, another species of shorebird.
See that fish crow? He's sneaky.
Yeah, he is
See, look
sneaky.
at the willets chasing. Because he knows where his nest is.
Oh, wow.
Look at that willet just came up from back there.
So the parents are...
Well, there's probably a couple willet nests.
And
This
there's
guy
another
and
one.
that guy are with this nest probably, and that guy's in the back there. But if I'm doing anything with birds or nests and I see a crow, I don't go up to a nest because they'll follow you. They'll learn. They'll stay in little family groups. I had one nest where the chicks and the adults moved about a half-mile away to some really good foraging areas. So they'll usually move as a little family to good feeding areas, and the parents will defend and protect the chicks until they are old enough to fly.
Year after year, she continued her work. I hadn't seen her since those days on the beach.
Hi, so good to see you.
Good to see you.
Come on in. Baxi, come here.
Baxi. Hey, baby.
Let's go.
New pup, huh?
We had a reunion in Athens, Georgia, where it's time for all that research to pay off.
Where'd you find him? Just like on the side of the road?
He was at a gas station, and he needed a home.
Baxi.
And I couldn't resist.
I don't blame you.
He's the sweetest.
Say, who would leave somebody at a gas station
I know.
like that, huh?
Armed with cups of tea, we talk about the path for a young ecologist and how her research fits into the big picture.
You know, we saw Wilson's plovers out there, and those eggs that blend in so well out on the beach. And the two species that I was focused on, Wilson's plovers and oyster catchers, they're both threatened and rare species. They're species of concern. We have declining populations, and they're in habitat that's pretty vulnerable. And so overall, what I'm hoping to do with this research is really figure out where these birds are nesting specifically on the beach, where we can kind of guide management, and where we can implement some strategies to hopefully increase success so that the populations do really well, so that we can have those awesome birds on our Georgia beaches forever.
What is your biggest concern, having worked with these birds for 3 years plus?
You know, overall, when you think of a beach, it's a really fragile system. And it's a really narrow system, right? Like, it's just that little bit from the land to the ocean. There's a sliver of beach. And there's all these species that depend on that beach. And so my biggest concern is sort of, what can we do sort of as a society to really ensure that that important habitat stays protected? And I think shorebirds are a really good answer. I mean, they're adorable and they're charismatic, and they're sort of an awesome vehicle, I think, to help people connect with that landscape and really start to care about it and make some strides to protect it.
Abby is working on her PhD and then hopes to get a job back on the coast with the birds she loves. But for all aspiring conservationists, money is always an issue.
I would work for cookies, you know.
I don't want you to work for cookies.
But I mean, of course, like, a project costs money, and so, you know, even things like boat transportation and being able to hire technicians, and that's a whole nother part, is, you know, hiring people to work on a project, especially younger people that you can mentor. I mean, most of the folks that I work with, and myself included, you know, we had field jobs where we weren't paid a lot, but the experience you get is invaluable, and it helps you find your passion. And so there's a lot more that goes into, I think, a scientific project that is research-driven than some people realize.
The good news is that many organizations help with the money and work to inspire another generation.
You can tell, like, this ecosystem that we've been working in, this community is very dry, very xeric, longleaf community. And the big reason for that is the soil. It's not because of the climate. And so that's how much the soil matters. Because the soil is very deep sand, water runs out of the rooting profile of plants really quickly. And so therefore, that's basically simulated drought.
High school student Nia Morrison spent a summer as an intern with the Nature Conservancy.
It looks straight to me. Put the flag down to be sure.
Her team worked in a longleaf pine forest near Columbus, measuring 10 by 10 meter plots.
Here's 10. So we'll have to bring a 14.2 to 10 meters. Yeah, we'll shift it out to your... I just only took 5 pictures of it.
The photographs they take will allow the Nature Conservancy to determine progress for the pine trees and also how much invasive vegetation needs to be cleared.
Got it. I didn't know that longleaf pine was even a species until I started working for them. But it's really interesting because even in the forests of South Georgia, where the soil is so sandy, they can still stand like that. I didn't know plants could exist in sand, but they do.
Longleaf evolved to be able to live on top of this sand, and one of its main adaptations is being able to root very deep compared to many of the other species. So it can go down really deep and it can get water from the deep horizons.
This is a 4-week paid internship. Students leave home and live under the supervision of Conservancy staff members. They work as a team on outdoor projects that can range from planting native species to beach cleanup. The hope is that students like Nia will become ambassadors for nature.
That's why we're trying to restore longleaf pine, because longleaf pine houses the red-cockaded woodpecker, which is rare and an endangered species. Longleaf pine is also an endangered species, which is why we are trying to restore it and create buffer zones to house that biodiversity.
There's another factor in the ecological growth of this young woman. Nia attends a high school on the edge of Arabia Mountain Nature Preserve. Arabia Mountain High School Principal Rodney Swanson says this allows students to take the classroom outdoors.
We're an environmental school that tries to maximize the growth of our students. And in order to maximize the growth of our students, we have project-based learning, which means that we try to connect the environment with the content. Where most high schools take 4 sciences, we take 6 sciences. So the students have to take 2 additional science classes. And one of them is environmental science. So we make sure that we connect our beautiful preserve with the content so the students have hands-on project-based learning.
Nia also credits the school and the Nature Conservancy internship with giving her confidence and commitment.
So I did it after my junior year.
She has become an advocate for conservation, easily talking with classmates about her experience.
So because Arabia Mountain is an environmental-based school, we partner with the Nature Conservancy, and we're the only school in the state of Georgia that does that. So because of that, we get opportunities to do the LEAF program, which stands for Leaders in Environmental Action for the Future. And that's basically a 1-month internship in which you travel out to different nature preserves, you stay there, live there, have fun there, and do work, and you get paid $1,000 at the end of the summer. So don't be afraid to apply.
When you talk about the environment with your peers, do they get it?
Some of them do, and some of them don't. But that's the thing. They weren't educated at a young age, and they weren't educated properly, in my opinion, because it's one thing to read in a textbook and another thing to apply it. A lot of the peers that I talk to that do get it and that do feel for environmental problems like the Michigan water crisis in Flint, or how the coral reefs are suffering in Australia, they understand because they've seen nature up close.
It isn't possible for all schools to have the advantage of being connected to a nature preserve. But Nia is already a passionate spokeswoman for having more green space. What do you tell kids who live in an urban area and they don't have any deer and they don't have any trees? How do we inspire those kids?
I think for people that live in those areas, it's an important thing for community leaders to invest in green spaces. Because even if you live in Atlanta, Atlanta's not a concrete jungle. There's parks everywhere. In New York even, Central Park is down the street for a lot of people in Manhattan. There's a lot of hidden gems in every city.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Nia has become that ambassador for the environment that her mentors hoped for. And there are many, many others like her who carry their passion to college and beyond. Whether they are trying to determine the genetic history of a black bear population or understand what makes an oyster reef succeed, getting students involved with projects that can make a difference in the natural world gives them a purpose and us a future. At any given moment, there are students from other states working on conservation projects in Georgia. The Department of Natural Resources also has internships that allow young people to be involved with a wide range of projects, from working with wildlife to getting rid of invasive species. Travis Mabe from Michigan and Emily Hastings from New York are cleaning out Chinese tallow, a fast-growing invasive that knocks out the native plants.
Just wanted to show you what Chinese tallow looks like. This is the Chinese tallow leaf. When they're up, they look a lot like a quaking aspen, so they'll shake in the wind a lot like a quaking aspen. Kind of look like that cottonwood kind of leaf. But that's a big problem here in the state of Georgia, especially along the coast. So.
The work is hard, but there is again that desire to make a difference in nature.
If you look at history, we didn't know a lot about the environment. Our knowledge of it was pretty limited. It still is, but a lot of these invasive species were brought in because we didn't know that they were going to have these impacts on the environment. And now we know these things, and it's kind of left up to the next generations to clean up that mess, so to speak.
It's a mental game. You are outside for 8 hours a day in the Georgia sun and heat and mosquitoes and the snakes and alligators, and you have a job to do, and it's tiring, and sometimes you're, ugh, I don't want to be doing this, but you have to think of the impact that you're making on the ecosystem and how vital it is to be out there, and that is what keeps you going.
Okay, well, I suspect you're going to find 6 hours of work, but when
Ann Fenstermacher is one of the old guard who worries about who will take over when she and her friends can no longer handle the back-breaking work. She's been heartened by the young people she's had in Savannah helping her beat back the Chinese tallow.
They were so willing to go deeper into the woods, which is what's harder for us older people to do, and work their way out. So we have them for 2.5 full days, and they work full days, start early in the morning and go, to about 5 at night. And, we're a 2-hour team here. So that was wonderful. They were just really lovely to work with and so supportive of my game plan without, and they had all the supplies too. So that was wonderful. I didn't have to worry about taking care of them.
Students worry about funding for environment projects and lack of concern by some of their peers. But there is a new force in the nation that may be just as committed as the generations before.
I certainly think that, it's disheartening with social media and technology because people are just losing touch. However, I think millennials are really going to make an incredible impact on the environment. I think we get it. Our older generations have really set the stone for what we are doing here, but millennials, we understand. We know that this is our world and we need to be more in touch with it. And I've seen that through this internship, that young people are really stepping up to the plate, and we are trying to conserve our natural habitats and how important it is.
Increasing public awareness of what's going on, because either side of the ticket, whether you're Republican, Democrat, this should be an issue for both sides. For all Americans, we should realize that our environment is important and that we need to take stock and actually care about what's around us in the environment and nature, and it shouldn't matter what our political affiliations are.
Being able to help people realize that the birds that we have in Georgia are not just our birds, they're coming from the whole entire world. You know, the Georgia coast is a critical place for some of these birds that might spend part of the year down in Argentina and part of the year up above the Arctic Circle. And we get to have them on our beaches, and we get to host them. And so I think helping people understand how the birds sort of connect everyone is a really important thing. And I think that's one of the things that will help with conservation of shorebirds and our coastal environments as well.
So for those of you worried, rest assured, there are plenty of young people ready to pick up that baton and move it on. I'm Sharon Collins. We'll see you next time.
Funding for Georgia Outdoors has been made possible by grants from the Georgia Natural Resources Foundation, the Imlay Foundation, the Nature Conservancy, and from viewers like you.